Alright, welcome back. This is War 3. We've matched New Nation, and my team's going to be Warlock, King Girth, and Mr. Sinister. Going to be starting out on Path 9 here in Section 1. My first fight's going to be a QS, which really isn't too big of a deal. I did put an invuln on because I really don't like his specials, and I figured there was a very good possibility of getting hit with a special one. I don't try to dex them, but I do try to bait them out and then block, and I'm not always fast enough, and it's actually exactly what's going to happen in this fight. So I don't bother stunning him and going for a hit because I don't want to deal with him evading. So I'm just going to bait heavies, and I'm going to use my openings that way. So here I'm trying to bait this special one out. He doesn't want to throw it, and then when he actually does go to throw it, I dashed back, so I got hit with it. But I expected that to happen, which is why I used the invuln. And just gonna basically punch him in the face and use special ones until he dies. No real strategy to this fight other than that. Alright, next up I have Havoc here on node 18. This fight actually ended up being a bit longer than I expected it to be. I'm using Warlock, and I could have put Suicides on for it to speed it up, but I didn't want to because my next fight is a Kingpin fight, and I don't want to run Suicides with Kingpin. So, I mean, I didn't need Suicides for this fight, but for timing, they definitely would have made it faster. So, started off in Incinerate, can't hit in Incinerate, but now that it's switched to Poison, I can get my hits in. And I want to use special 2s or 3s in this fight, but I don't have tech power back boosts on because anytime you reach a special 1, he goes indestructible, so power backs would pretty much make your special 2 useless. Now it has switched back to Incinerate, so I'm doing 2-hit combos to keep myself from being trapped in the corner. I get pushed to a special 3 here. I didn't want that, but it ended up happening. So I'm going to launch the special 3 and then work my way towards a special 2, and I'm going to use that to finish him off. It's a very safe fight. It just ended up being longer than I expected it to be. Alright, next up here I got Mojo on 21. So I have the Sinister synergy with me. So anytime he throws a special, it's going to power lock him. And this fight and my Mystic Spidey fight were the main reasons I have that synergy. So my plan for this one, just punch him in the face and stick to SP1s, bait Mojo's special 1, and then don't get hit. It's pretty much the strategy. Kingpin on Hazard Shift is relatively straightforward and relatively simple. Alright, now moving into Section 2, I'm going to be on Path 1. I have this Rintrah. I'm taking him with Warlock, and this is a Parry heavy fight. I don't want to use my special 2 because armor breaks increase his abilities, I believe. And special 3s would work. So I'll stick to special 3 if I reach there by Parry heavying. But also anytime you heavy him, he loses his Rintra mystical charges, whatever they are, that he would gain by getting hit. And I don't want to double dash back to give him a regen because I really don't want to deal with an unblockable Rintra. So I'm just going to take the block damage from his special 1. And if he happened to reach a special 2 and it wasn't unblockable, I would take the block damage from that as well. And I will use hits at times just to get myself out of the corner if he happens to back me too far into it. But for the most part, it's just going to be parry heavy. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of this fight. Get to special 3, use it, power drain him, and then go straight back to parry heavies. Alright, next up is Attuma, and Attuma is tactic, so I don't want to stun him or heavy him or special 1 or special 2 because all of those things apply debuffs, and he will purify them and get prowess and start getting power. So what I want to do is bait special 1 and heavies for openings. Right there I dex to trigger buffet so I could get my armor buff back, so that in case I got hit with a special, it would not crit. I wouldn't have to worry about it critting. And going to stick to regular hits and special 3s, and that is the gist of this fight. I'm not too worried about triggering buffet because I have infection, so he will not heal as long as I maintain my infection, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Alright, next up here, I have this Sauron. Now, the plan for this Sauron was to use a PS1, and I have suicides on for all these Warlock fights. The plan for this was to use a PS1 and parry heavy to special 2, and then cycle special 2s. However, none of us caught that the tactic would give armors, and when the armors expired, Burden of Might would trigger and drain my power. So I noticed this as soon as it happened there when he was throwing the special 1. My armor expired and I lost power, and I realized what the problem was, and I realized that I was not going to reach a special 2 at any point in this fight. So I changed my strategy into parry heavy only, and it ends up working really, really well and makes it a relatively simple fight. And he didn't trigger too many regens. As you can see, he only has 2 triggered so far. He needs 8 more to go unblockable, so didn't have to worry about that, and ends up being relatively smooth. Even though my strat didn't work, he still went down pretty easily. Alright, so last up I have Mystic Spidey on 49. And this was probably the fight that I was most concerned with, even though I did feel really confident in it, because I practiced dexing his special 2 just in case he reached it, and I practiced mediuming into his heavy animation to trigger his invisibility, and that is the strat. Once I trigger his invisibility that way, I'm going to wait it out, and then I'm going to bait heavies for openings, and then just punch him in the face 5 times and stick to special 1s. And watching John do this fight, he had a video of it. It looked really, really smooth. It went down really quickly. I think it was about a minute, and he didn't run into any weird interactions or anything. So because of that, I didn't think I had to read this guy's kit, and that was my mistake. My fight's going to take pretty much twice as long as his. He was going for intercepts and I wasn't, and I'm going to end up running into an ability that he has that I did not know he had because I didn't do my homework. So that is my bad. So right here, I dex, it triggers invisibility, and when I saw that happen, I assumed it was on cooldown now because it triggered, go in for the hit, and I end up eating a combo because of it. So apparently when you reach 10 buffs in the fight, he triggers it, and it's separate from the one that you would trigger on your own. So it doesn't put it on cooldown or anything like that. So I end up eating a combo there, but I dealt with it. I went back to the strat that I was sticking to, and I'm going to finish the fight out that way. I'm going to end up with about 50% health, most of it from blocked hits. And yeah, yeah, it ends up, I was still relatively happy with the fight, although I do think that I can make it smoother, and now that I know he has that ability, I'll know to pay attention to it in the future if I take him here. But I'm going to let this one finish out now. All right, so we ended up winning this one, 150-2 to 150-6. Good luck to New Nation for the rest of their season. I know that we will be rematching them in War 9, I believe. And I do believe that we will be matching TCN next war. So that's all she wrote for now. And thank you very much for watching.